and gentlemen, welcome to the Syracuse Planning Commission regular meeting. We'll begin our public hearings in just a moment. First, we will take care of one item of housekeeping business, namely the minutes from our last meeting. Those minutes have been distributed to the commission members for the meeting on September 20th. Is there a motion for action on those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Our minutes are approved, and we can move right into the public hearings for this evening. Those not familiar with our process, as each hearing is announced by a member of the zoning staff, we will ask the applicant or their representative to come forward to the podium, provide their name and address for the record, and then a brief summary of the application involved. Following comments, questions, clarifications from the commission members, we'll extend an invitation to those present who wish to speak in favor of the application, and then we'll similarly extend an invitation to those who wish to speak in opposition to the application. Where comments are made in opposition, we will encourage the applicant to return to the podium and address the comments made in opposition. So with that, we are ready to begin with our first public hearing for this evening. And when you come to the podium and are presenting your application or responding to questions, please feel free to remove your mask so that the clarity of the communication is a little better. Thank you.
The first public hearing this evening is PR 2118. This is a project site review for facade and site alterations at 400 Wolf Street. Zeman Sela is the owner and applicant, and it lies within a business class A zoning district. We did receive an email today. Sorry. We did receive an email today in opposition and didn't have a chance to send it to you, so I will pass this out right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is William Pitcher Architect, 124 Fiegel Avenue, Syracuse, New York, representing the applicant. We're doing a project review on exterior changes. In terms of zoning, there was a previous special permit on this property for a bottling recycling, which the owner has given up. So that no longer applies to the property, and we're reverting to basically zoning of BA, and this is a grocery store. The changes we're proposing for the exterior, if we go to page L2, is basically an enclosure for their trash bins on the north side of the building between their lot and the neighbor's lot. So that's basically a 6-foot stockade fence, and that's to contain all of the trash containers. We go to the next sheet, A1, and as part of that, we're putting a new door on the north side towards that trash enclosure area to make it easier for them quicker to do it. And you can see on the floor plan there, it's a very small store. It's basically counters and some coolers with a bathroom and storage. If we go to sheet A3, we're asking for a sign on the front of the building of 3 foot by 5'4", and on the side of the building, sign number 2 of 4 foot by 5 foot. There was also a previously approved color, and now the building is presently painted gray. and we ask approval for that existing color. These photographs were before they got painted. I think that's basically the site review.
There's a waiver required for this application with regard to parking, so can you address the need for that waiver and justification for it?
Actually, the lot is too narrow. Building code also requires to have one handicapped and one loading space, and the lot is not wide enough for that. And it would be we would be adding another curb cut, I think, within a distance to the intersection that the city planner, traffic planner would not approve of. It would be too close to the intersection of people pulling in and out between this building and the neighboring building to the north. And I assume that because there was a special permit and that there might be a previous variance in the files for the property and as a general business property.
Thank you. Questions for the applicant?
The city's transportation planner had a series of other comments. Are you aware of all of those? And have you addressed them?
I don't know. What were the comments?
Okay. It says the site plan will require adjustment to accommodate the intensity of use seen at neighborhood markets. The first item is the failed sandstone curb along Carbon Street is to be replaced with full reveal curbing along the entire frontage. Second, along the Carbon Street frontage between the walk and the newly established curb line, fixed vertical objects needed to prevent errant parking and mid-block movements such as bollard, post and chain, something along those lines. And it says items will require encroachment agreement. The grass along Carbon should be reseeded because it appears to have not established. The refuse area screening should incorporate self-closing curb for any use.
Okay. I will include those on revised drawings. This is the first time I've heard of them.
Oh, okay. Well, can't speak to that, but if the applicant doesn't have any objections to those.
Yeah, I'll just have to clarify the one about the ballards. I'm not sure what the issue is and exactly where he was concerned.
It says along the Carbon Street frontage between the walk and the established curb line. I don't know if that.
We're going to, if we put in a 4-inch curb there, I don't think people are going to drive up over a 4-inch curb into the grass between that and the sidewalk. I think the ballards are.
Is 4 inches standard or is it
Yeah.
6? It's not 6?
4 or 6. I mean, it's not something you're going to drive over.
Well, I'm just responding to
Yeah.
his recommendations, and the commission often concurs with his remarks, so.
I really think that that's rather institutional, industrial kind of look for the neighborhood. I think, we can fix the curb and solve the issue of vehicles parking, not of going over the curb and parking in the grass area with a new curb. But we will do it if so required.
Questions for the applicant from the commission members? Apparently not.
I have a little question. What are your hours of operation?
The hours of operation. That's a good question. I don't think I put it down here. I will give you that information when I find out from them. I think it's basically the usual 9 to 9, 7 days a week, but I will confirm what the hours actually are.
I have one other question. We received an email from someone in opposition, and included in that is the sentence, "Lastly, the store opened overnight when Wolf Market closed the day before," yada, yada, yada. So is this store already open and operating?
Yes, this is a matter, I think this law department, I think this is a matter in court already. I think this property is already is a
I
court
believe
case.
it's, excuse me, one second. I believe if maybe it's been referred to it's in Supreme Court, is that correct, in Onondaga County?
I think so, but I
Okay.
don't know.
I'm not the attorney assigned to those cases, but I believe you are correct on that.
I'm not sure whether it was a lawsuit or whether it was a stop work order or exactly what it is, but we're trying to clean up all of the requirements necessary for the business to go forward as an operating business. So that's
But
part of it.
lawsuit or not, is it open and operating as we
I
sit here
think
right
so,
now?
yes.
Okay. So it's operating without a special permit no, we don't need a special
Right,
permit.
it's just operating
It's just
without,
operating, okay.
Right, they need a parking waiver in order to open.
Okay, thank you.
Would the court matter affect anything that we decided today?
Not necessarily. I think the fact that it's open is more pertinent than the fact that there's litigation, because that, it's more difficult to change something that's already existing, but it should not have any bearing on your decision, because you are an independent board.
okay?
Further questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, come to the podium, provide your name and address and your comments. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the application? If so, please come forward. We have no additional speakers. I think we're good to close this public hearing, so we will do so now and pause to see if there might be a resolution for action on this application either way.
Mr. Chairman, maybe I need to ask staff one more question. So I think I heard Mr. Lynch ask this question. If our action here could be undone by the court decision, in other words, we could decide something today, and the court could say that this operation has to cease to exist, right?
If the violations, if the litigation is regarded to the zoning or any code violations, that would be a civil penalty or and a motion to compel them to come into compliance, which they could do tonight or at a future meeting if the decision's not made tonight, by getting the appropriate approvals. If the court or if the applicant or anybody were to disagree with your decision, that would be a separate issue under the Article 78 rules, whereas the pending litigation is related to the number of days or the time in which they have been in violation, which they can correct that violation essentially by getting all of the requirements, whether, I'm not sure if they have other issues like required permits or anything like that, but by coming into compliance with any open code violations. Does that, okay.
So open discussion, I will make a motion to approve the negative declaration and grant the waiver of the 4 parking spaces.
Any reference to the transportation planner comments and recommendations?
Consistent with the recommendations that tonight the representative indicates they will comply with the wishes of the transportation planner, that they'll adjust the curbing, that they'll adjust if there's going to be renovation of any sidewalk, that will be done at the request of the transportation planner.
Thank you.
I will
Say-
say that.
Discussion?
Now that I made the motion, I'm also going to put on the record that we have many discussions about people who apply to open corner stores. That there's a concern by this body and everybody in the city when corner stores open and don't seek good faith with their neighbors. So if we pass any resolution, part of the resolution is that we want everyone to have the quiet use and enjoyment of their property. And if the intensity of this particular business affects the quiet use and enjoyment of all the other residents, that will continue to cause problems. There'll be other citations issued. So while we would be granting this application tonight, it's with a caution that the neighborhood stores need to work with the neighborhood.
Thanks for the clarification on that. Additional discussion on the motion? If not, then all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? And the project site review is approved. Thank you. Our next public hearing, actually, our next two hearings are with the same applicant, and as we customarily do, we will hear these two applications concurrently for a fuller understanding of what's involved, but when it comes time for action, we will act on each application separately.
The next two public hearings are a re-subdivision and a special permit modification to a care home. First one is R2147. This is a re-subdivision to combine two properties into one new lot at 102 and 104 to 114 Michaels Avenue. Francis House, Inc. is the owner and applicant, lies within a residential Class C zoning district. The second public hearing companion piece is SP0232M3. This is a special permit modification to the care home to modify the site plan at 102 and 104 to 114 Michaels Avenue. Francis House, Inc. is the owner and applicant, and both properties lie within a residential Class C zoning district.
Hi, I'm Mary Ann Hankins. I'm the Executive Director at Francis House, and I have here representing us Patrick Costello from Appel Osborne.
Hello. As you mentioned, the first application is to...
If you would give your name and address as well for the
Okay,
record,
sure.
okay? Thank you.
My name is Patrick Costello from Appel Osborne Landscape Architecture, and we are at 102 West Division Street. The first application is for the re-subdivision to combine two properties owned by the Francis House, recently acquired the 102 Michael Ave. So we're just asking to have the property re-subdivide. And then the second application is a special permit extension to that new property so that the Francis House can develop that, actually tear down the existing house and provide 14 additional parking spaces. We did receive comments from DPW, engineering, et cetera, and we'll be incorporating those into our plans and working with the engineering department. I don't anticipate too many SWIP implications as we do only have around 7,600 square feet of disturbance. But again, we'll work with Mirza to get through that.
Thank you. Questions for the applicant?
So, everything that you were asked to do, you have done? Is that
As far as...
planning, like the asphalt encroaching onto the adjacent property?
So I believe Mary Ann has been working with the adjacent owners on getting an updated letter. We have a historical letter from you want to talk about this?
Hi. When I started in September of last year, I had no idea about this until it came up, just so you know, until it came up when we wanted to purchase the 102 and to make it into a parking lot. So working with and making sure that we can work with the owners right now so we can get something in writing from them. We haven't, from my understanding from the previous executive director, we haven't had any issues or concerns with them at all, but I have not myself had any information from them, so. But I also understand that with what we're asking to do does not have anything to do with the encroachment. So we are gonna look into that, but as far as making the parking lot doesn't come into the encroachment piece of that, is my understanding.
I would like just to go through some clarification, and Patrick might be best to answer this. So one of the comments from the transportation planner is that there's going to be significant canopy loss.
Yep.
And have you worked then with the city arborist to develop mitigation for that in terms of new planting?
We haven't worked with them yet, but we'll
But
reach
you
out with
would?
them. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. I know the Francis House plans are hopefully to take down the existing structure this fall, and then do the parking lot next year. So I think we've got some time to do that, but that is our plan. I know after we spoke with Heather, we added a bunch of trees and changed a bunch of stuff, but we'll work through the species.
Okay,
and-
so what we have doesn't really show that, it just basically shows a parking lot, and it does
Yep.
show some vegetation.
Right.
But I just want to make sure.
But we will be updating our plans with the
Okay.
arborist and engineering. Yep.
Okay, also that in addition to addressing canopy cover, you're going to be addressing screening in
Yep.
terms of fencing, okay? That the parking area will be curbed or incorporate fixed vertical objects, much like we talked about with the
So
last
they-
applicant,
yep.
okay? That any asphalt that's currently used for sidewalks, that will be removed, and the new sidewalks will meet the city specification.
Correct.
That the existing curb cut for the Francis House parking lot needs to be dimensioned on the site plan.
Correct.
But also that
It'll be curved.
in real life, it's going to retain those dimensions.
Yep,
And that the curb cut for 102 will be abandoned.
correct.
Okay, and that's it. So if we were to look upon this favorably, I think at least two of us have already mentioned that since it's not all on the drawings, it
Yeah.
would be something we might condition.
Yep, yeah, and I mean, we can have you guys review the drawings once we work that stuff out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I'm all set.
I'm all set.
Thank you very much. Thank you both very much. Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? If either application, please come forward. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to either application? Please come forward. So no additional speakers on these two applications. We'll close both R-21-47 and SPO2 32M3 and entertain action on each one at a time. Is there a motion on the re-subdivision, R-21-47?
Approval with a negative declaration?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Can you back up? Were you including conditions of the transportation planner?
For the re-subdivision?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I mean, I can.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah, I think what you're asking, she's gonna probably do in a second.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. I'm rushing.
That's okay.
Sorry.
We're very efficient here. But just to be sure, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? So the re-subdivision is approved, and now we move to SPO 232M3, which is the special permit modification. associated with the re-subdivision. Is there a motion on this one?
I would move approval with a negative declaration as long as all of the transportation planner's recommendations are met.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The special permit modification is also approved. And if you don't have the transportation planner's comments, please contact the zoning office. Okay.
And just as an aside, if you have a specific time frame in mind to start anything, you could get those plans to our office and we can confirm with the transportation planner that they meet the conditions. But it does have to go to the common council, so I just want to let you know, if there's any hurry up and get them to me so that I can get them to common council. Oh, we would definitely need that if that's the one to be filed. And what would the changes be to that? Just bearings?
Yes, it was based on those comments.
Okay, yes, please give those. Thank you. Thanks.
Set. Thank you so much. You're welcome to stay. We have some exciting things yet to come tonight, so our next public hearing, please.
Our next public hearing is SR 0601 M2. This is a site plan review for an antenna to modify an existing rooftop antenna array at 1601 Court Street. Access CNY is the Inc. is the owner, and Tim Richmond for Verizon is the applicant, and this lies within a residential Class C zoning district.
Good evening, members of the commission. It's Jared Lusk from Nixon Peabody, representing Verizon Wireless. With this application, it's a pretty straightforward application and equipment change on an existing rooftop facility. It is a eligible facility request under 6409. So again, pretty straightforward. We're just replacing the antennas and remote radio heads with upgraded equipment, among the many that we've been in front of you recently.
Just confirming we had a structural report that it can accommodate the new equipment.
I'll just confirm, give me 1 second here. Yes, I just want to be able to, that would be tab E of the application.
Thank you. Questions for the applicant?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please come to the podium, provide your name and address and comments. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the application? Please come forward and offer your comments. So no additional speakers. We will close this hearing and entertain a motion for action on SR-0601M2.
I move approval with a negative declaration.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The project site plan is approved. Thank you. Our next public hearing, our last public hearing for this evening.
Yes, Z2846. This is a change of occupancy, a modification to include a change of the restaurant use to education/college/entrepreneur center at 1135 Salt Springs Road. Lemoyne College is the owner and applicant, and the property lies within a residential Class A1 zoning district.
Thank you. And as the applicant's representative comes forward to present, I would like to go on the record to indicate that I will be abstaining from a vote on this application because of my affiliation with the applicant. So, please.
I'm Fouad Dietz, Director of Planning, Design, and Construction for Lemoyne College, and I'm representing the college today. Do you want more information on the application, or?
Just a quick overview.
Okay. So, some years ago, the college entertained opening a pizzeria and a coffee shop. In that case, it was Dunkin' Donuts and Cam's Pizzeria, along with its Barnes & Noble bookstore in what we call the Plaza. While they ran for several years, over the past few years, Cam's has pulled out due to lack of business. Dunkin' Donuts eventually pulled out even without paying rent. Couldn't sustain their business, and we have gone ahead and received a Red Sea grant to locate an entrepreneurship center in what used to be the restaurant space, which includes collaboration space, classroom space, and maker space with 3D printers, virtual reality lab, a small two-person wood shop to make models, and using it as a launching pad for students and business students to launch businesses and also meet with potential funders, future employers. There's also going to be a conference room available to meet with those folks as part of the plan. So we're looking for the removal of the restaurant portion of the special permit to switch the plaza to just being retail and education. So the college would use that space for educational purposes, just like we do the rest of our college buildings. Similar time frame, similar types of things. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you. Questions for the applicant?
Does the bookstore remain?
I'm sorry?
Does the bookstore remain?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the bookstore is staying.
Thank you.
And there are no exterior modifications, there's no landscape modifications. We will come back at some point to rebrand the building something else because it's no longer really a plaza. But, we'll do that at a later date with all the full approvals needed for that. But we're not ready to do that just yet. So this is an interior renovation of an existing building.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Additional questions?
I'm all set.
Okay, good. Thank you. Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please come forward with your name, address, and your comments. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the application? Please come forward, offer your comments and your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Cheyenne, like the Indian tribe. My last name is Greggs. I, myself, and family, we don't want Lemoyne College there, period. Next thing, they'll keep buying up houses, and they'll claim eminent domain of the whole neighborhood. The neighborhood's been there since the 20s. Rosamont Gifford, the lady that at the zoo, she owned those homes. They were guest houses. And the house that we own at 500 Fayette Boulevard, there's Franklin Delano Roosevelt's. He inscribed it down in the basement of the house. It's a historic neighborhood. And with Lemoyne College there, we're very scared they'll one day claim or want eminent domain and tear all the houses down. So, nay.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there other individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the application? If so, come forward and provide your comments. There appear to be no additional speakers, so we will close this hearing on Z-.
Do you want to give?
Oh, my apologies. Yes, please.
Again, this application is just for the plaza. It's simply an interior renovation within the existing building with no additional changes, no additional purchases, and no demolitions.
Thank you for the response. Again.
Can I ask a question of the applicant then?
Sure.
If I could just ask a follow-up. Given the neighbor's specific concern about institutional expansion into this residential neighborhood, other than the uses at the plaza, do your long-range plans show any additional growth into the traditional residential blocks?
I mean, we own several properties along Springfield Road between us, and of course, Sewell Library is our immediate neighbor, which is a publicly used facility. Smith Elementary School is across the street. We own the firehouse, which is kitty corner. As our needs change and expand, we don't generally knock down buildings. When we've bought houses in the neighborhood, we've renovated them and we've used them. I don't know that I could comment sort of any more than that.
But worst case scenario, you're not looking to build dormitories in the residential neighborhood.
There are no plans for anything like that at this time.
Okay.
Lemoyne's enrollment is not growing. We have added very little additional square footage to our campus. We're not a growing campus. We don't build new buildings like SU all the time and buy whole blocks and tear buildings down. That's just not our style. We try very hard to be sustainable, and being sustainable is renovating the building stock that we have. And so we make a real effort to determine if we're ever going to add additional footprint, because then that ties us into spending money into that, maintaining it, painting it, cleaning it, powering it, heating it into the future, and we just don't have indefinite funds. So we try to be very careful about those decisions. We weigh them very carefully.
Thank you.
So, one more question, just to clarify. So she asked you if you foresee that, and your answer was, presently you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't go on record saying the college will never expand in the future. I don't think I could do that.
That's not what I'm looking for.
I'm not even sure I can answer that question.
Okay, then just going based on what you said.
Right. I mean, I'm really here for an internal renovation, change of use from something that is, I think, highly disruptive to the neighborhood and has been a real issue for us over time. Unfortunately, the business investment didn't pan out, and we're going to a lesser use within that building.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Further questions?
Someone in the audience.
Yes.
Has something she'd like to say.
My question is, my name is Karshina Gregg, still the property of 500 Fayette Boulevard. And my question about Lemoyne College, they came and they took over that corner lot because it used to be a store, and they claimed that they needed it because they didn't have enough space for their bookstore, so they moved over there, and then they had Sabero Pizza and some other place, which the neighbors really didn't want because the kids act very wild and disrespectful to the residents. And they have purchased some homes around there, and they've had to close them down because the kids would be having wild parties and everything. So we really don't know why Lemoyne College can't just go back on campus with that entrepreneurial educational center on their campus instead of using the building. Actually, Sewell Branch could use the space maybe to expand their library because they said that, but we would prefer Lemoyne to go back on their own campus because they have a lot of land behind the campus they keep reserving, and why don't they use that instead of keep coming over where we are and purchasing homes and everything? Because we notice they never go across the street on South Springs Road to use homes to have students live in and everything. So that's why we oppose that, because they keep talking about that what they're doing, and they keep changing and coming through and buying homes. So that's what I have to say about it. And it seems like they come through the area where there's more predominantly African-American people living instead of going across the street to South Springs Road, to get homes, or where they used to have the firehouse. So, yeah, we would prefer them not to do that. Okay.
Thank you. I would take that to be a comment in opposition, so yet again, if you wish to respond to that, the opportunity is here for you to have the floor.
A couple of things. We do purchase homes on occasion that come up that we feel either benefit the college or are in disrepair that need to be, for us to take over to do that so that they maintain a good perimeter for us. I assure you that racial issues have absolutely nothing to do with it. It just depends on what's for sale at the time that we take. Again, this application has nothing to do with any purchase of property or anything of the sort. It's simply a building we already own. It is part of Lemoyne's campus. And this is an interior renovation that should have a lesser impact on its neighbors with the change in use.
Thank you. I believe the hearing is closed now, unless the commission members had any additional questions. Okay.
This is my first time here, so can I speak?
The hearing has been closed, but
Open it back up.
the commission can open it back up, but that has to be done via a motion.
We can certainly, the gentleman is here. The purpose of the public hearing is to kind of organize the presentation, followed by speakers who wish to endorse the application, followed by speakers who oppose an application, instead of a constant going back and forth. So that's why we close the hearing. We can entertain a motion if a commission member wants to make a motion to reopen the hearing to hear additional comments. And we'll pause to see if there is that kind of a motion.
So move.
Okay, is there a second? Second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Sir, please come back to the podium and just provide your name and address for the record, and then your supplemental comments on the application.
My first name is Cheyenne, like the Indian tribe. C as in cat, Heyenenne, and the last name is Greggs. G as in good, Reggs. This going back and forth. Lemoyne, our house, 500 Fade Boulevard, is on the corner. Lemoyne College has purchased a house down the street on the other corner as an alumni house, and we just are very fearful. We really want them out the neighborhood and back onto their campus, and by opening the center as an education center, there is still that presence there. We don't want anything there. But that has to probably be another motion or something brought up later.
Well, it's kind of beyond the limits of this specific application, which is site-specific.
Right, you're correct. So we're just voicing our opinion.
Can I suggest that, and I say this as someone who lives in the shadow of Syracuse University, so I understand the position you're in.
We lived near Syracuse. My mother got her master's there in '72, and they kept encroaching. We lived on Standard Street, then all of a sudden they tore it down and now it's parking lots.
So what I would suggest is, given your broader concerns, maybe staff could take some time to talk about what the institution can and cannot do in light of whatever the zoning is in the neighborhood, and just arm these folks with some basic information so that they can understand what's going on around them.
Yeah, so basically everything around there is single family, so they would not be able to knock down a house and build a dorm without coming here.
We're nervous that
or
they will
somewhere
do
else.
what they did at the under the block. And now the house is an alumni center. It's a beautiful home. We feel they will start buying up homes and making certain departments, like the department of this, the department of that. And even though they won't knock them down, it won't be the residential area that Rosemont Gifford had built. There are seven guest homes where the main building is with the clock. That was her mansion. She's a very wealthy woman. And so within these guest house, there is history. Maybe those 7 or 8, 9 guest homes could be saved as a historic site, because my parents' house was built in 1930. 10 years from now, or 9 years from now, it'll be a 100-year-old home. So that's what we're worried that they'll buy a house, turn it into an apartment of this and an apartment of that, and before you know it, even though they won't tear the homes down, the homes won't be occupied by single families.
There may be this kind of discussion could happen outside of the meeting. with these
Yeah,
folks.
it's probably different.
Well,
I know this is specific, but
Just to arm
Yep.
you with the correct information about what uses are allowed in their zoning district.
Yes, so I was just going to suggest, Mr. Dietz is here representing Lemoyne College, perhaps if he could give you his card, he would be the one that would know the most about the comprehensive plan and what they were doing, and then could hear your concerns, and maybe other neighbors, maybe a neighborhood meeting could be set up if there's concerns like yours, a more comprehensive
I understand.
presentation about that. You can also definitely call our office, and I can tell you everything around there is pretty much single-family residential, so anything other than what's allowed in that zoning district, which is pretty minimum, the college would have to at least seek a zoning review, whether it's from the Board of Zoning Appeals or this body, to do something above and beyond that. So I think two things, definitely Mr. Dietz and you can exchange numbers and have a dialogue, maybe it's even bigger dialogue. And then also, our office is always open and available for any zoning advice or any information that you would need about your neighborhood or your house specifically.
Right, well, we've been there since 1973 as little kids, and what they're doing with the center, the store is good. The university has a good ranking. It's doing good. We just don't want to lose the historic history of that block or the block next to it. The Lemoyne College is a very good college. We just don't want it to encroach into the neighborhood. That's it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
I would also suggest, Heather, that if you were to give these folks, Jeff or whoever is the most appropriate staff person, maybe also put them in contact with Kate Atwater, given the interest in historic preservation issues, and maybe Kate can talk to them about what might be possible in the neighborhood.
Thank you, yes.
Okay, I think we will close the public hearing and pause to see if there's a motion for action on the application in front of us.
I move approval with a negative declaration.
I'm going to second.
Discussion?
I'd just like the record to note that we understand the concerns of the neighbors, and hopefully folks will follow up with the college and have some kind of community meeting. And I would also hope that you would follow up with city staff for both the zoning office and also the preservation board, and you might find more information that's useful.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor, then please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? I am abstaining. I think the change of occupancy, it's approved. That completes our public hearings for this evening, but we have additional business, and everyone's welcome to remain as we move through the rest of the agenda. Heather, would you introduce our first of several new business items, please?
The first new business item is SR 0901 M5. This is a fifth modification to a site plan review. Antenna, this is to modify an existing rooftop antenna array at 801 to 833 University Avenue. The applicant is proposing to replace 12 antennas and 9 remote radio heads as part of an upgrade to an existing rooftop wireless antenna array on top of the Sheraton Syracuse Hotel, University Hotel and Conference Center. It's in a planned institutional district. The scope of work includes realigning 2 of 3 sectors, replacing 12 antennas with 12 new antennas, and replacing 12 remote radio heads with 9 new remote radio heads and related equipment. The proposal requires review by the planning commission because it lies within a planned institutional district. And the structure, we have a letter saying the structure is capable of supporting the additional loads enclosed by this proposal. The proposal complies with Part C, Section 1, Article 7 of the City of Syracuse zoning rules and regulations. The end result will be a total of 12 antennas, 9 remote radio heads in 3 sectors at 55 degrees, 150 degrees, and 305 degrees, with 4 antenna and 3 remote radio heads per sector. And that is the extent of the new business item proposal.
Welcome back.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen on the commission. Again, Jared Lusk with Nixon Peabody. Again, this is a eligible facility request. We've been in consultation with Ms. Lamondola regarding the upcoming zoning ordinance changes. Obviously, these are required to be in front of you, but they're eligible facility requests. You must approve and can't deny these eligible facility requests, so we're here sort of as a perfunctory and pro forma, but again, requires your approval at this point.
Thank you. Question for the applicant?
No.
Just as a point of information, we get it, and I appreciate you making the trip. Colleague to colleague, perfunctory is not the first word to use, but we get it. No other questions?
Thank you. Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? Oh,
It's not a public.
I get on a roll and
All right.
that'll shorten the evening considerably. Okay. In that case, if there are no further questions, is there a motion?
Motion to approve with a negative declaration.
Discussion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Site plan is approved for SR 09101M5 on University Ave. Our next new business item?
The next new. Thank you.
Safe drive.
The next new business item is SR 2107. This is site plan review for an antenna to install a tower-mounted antenna array at 1502 Erie Boulevard East. This property lies within an industrial class A zoning district. The applicant is requesting to install a tower-mounted antenna array on an existing monopole tower on the property situated at 1502 Erie Boulevard East. Already said that, sorry. The scope of work includes installing 3 antennas and 6 remote radio heads, an equipment cabinet, and associated equipment. The antenna will have 3 sectors with 1 antenna and 2 radio heads per sector, a centerline height of 73 feet, and the proposal complies with Part C, Section 1, Article 7 of the City of Syracuse zoning rules and regulations as amended.
Is the applicant here? I only see one person.
And just as a reminder, although we never would discourage anyone from coming for new business, these items really stand on their own, are supposed to be self-explanatory, stand on their own, just as a reminder. But I do see one person left here, so it's good to ask.
So any questions on the application before us?
No question, more of a comment that I don't believe we can require people to provide us with photographs, but I would encourage, not just for this application, but any application, that the folks who are sponsoring these projects provide us with photographs.
Well, you have that prerogative to ask for more information in order to make an informed decision, and we have updated our applications to include photo simulations and photographs for several different applications at your request. I can have, yes, I can have Catherine speak to.
Bear in mind that the eligible facilities requests they are presumed to be approved after 60 days, so we would have to make sure that that is done, that the information that we need is provided within that period, after 60 days after the application is complete.
I guess for me, whoever touches any of this material first, the minute they don't see photographs, no matter what the application is for, somebody should be reaching out to the applicant and saying, we don't want to see this delayed, and we'd hate to have you come in 3 weeks and have your public hearing or whatever, only for the commission to say, whoops, there's not enough information, we're not going to act tonight. So I realize we don't have a lot of staff, and you all have way more on your plate, but in the interest of trying to accommodate future applicants, if we can just stress that, in a sense, they're running the risk of us needing more information, and it's better for them to provide it as soon as possible, I think that would be helpful. Especially things where there will be a major physical and visual change. It helps us to understand what we're looking at, and also if they're, in particular, if it's a public hearing and the public is opposed to something, it would be helpful for us to have as much information as possible. So other than that, the antennas seem fine, but
Thank you.
it's just something I noticed in this particular application. The photo was minuscule and poor.
And is it, we don't know whether it's before or after.
Right.
This is not a modification, this is a new installation, is that correct?
It's a co-installation, so nonetheless, I would move approval with a negative declaration.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? So the site plan review is approved for SR 21-07. Our next antenna application, please.
Next new business item is SR 2108. This is a site plan review for an antenna to install a tower-mounted antenna array at 2792 Erie Boulevard East. Daniel McCarthy is the owner. Richard Zajac, Crown Castle USA is the applicant, and the property lies within the commercial Class B zoning district. The applicant is requesting to install or co-locate a tower-mounted antenna array. The scope of work includes 3 antennas and 6 remote radio heads on an existing monopole in 3 sectors with 1 antenna, and 2 remote radio heads per sector. Complies with Part C, Section 1, Article 7 of the zoning rules and regulations. This commission approved a previous site plan review in 1997 to construct the monopole antenna and install wireless antennas. Okay, let's see. So that's the extent of the approval, or I'm sorry, proposal.
My name is Richard Zajac. I'm representing Crown Castle, the cell tower owner, on behalf of Dish Wireless. I think that synopsis pretty much covers what's going on. New co-location, installing 3 antennas at the 68-foot level of the existing 118-foot monopole, along with a 5-foot by 7-foot ground equipment platform. There's to hold some equipment cabinets. There's no tower height increase, no ground compound expansion included with the scope of work. As previously discussed with other applications, this does classify as an eligible facilities request under 6409, the rules of the FCC.
So the photo we have, which again is tiny, even if I blow it up, then it gets distorted, is that the existing tower, or is it a photo simulation showing what the additional installation?
You should have both, before and after. and there's multiple angles.
Ah, there they are. Sorry, I apologize.
It's okay.
There were way too many of these tonight, so.
You heard our comments.
I did, and just as a matter of clarification on 6409, I'm not an attorney. I know just enough to be dangerous, as they say, regarding 6409, but I'm familiar, obviously, with handling these applications. When an application is submitted, according to 6409, the particular jurisdiction has 30 days to, layman's terms, ask for more information to prove that the application is an eligible facilities request. You've been hearing you have to approve, you can't deny it. You can ask for additional information, such as photo simulations, to demonstrate that it is an eligible facilities request. There's a 30-day time period, so say after 15 days you request that, the shot clock stops until that request has been satified, just as a matter of...
You gave us what we needed, so.
Thanks. So I heard you guys
go.
talking about that. I figured I'd just offer that much.
Yeah, these are quite,
information.
I didn't scroll down far enough when I,
Can I just ask a question as an aside? Do you always represent this particular Dish Wireless company across the state, or?
No, Crown Castle is cell tower owner, wireless telecom infrastructure owner
Okay.
is the technical term. So we do a lot of different things, from construction to obviously obtaining permits and approvals for a lot of different customers. Anybody who wants to, in this particular case, we're talking cell towers specifically, anyone who wants to put anything on our tower, we need to get our approval.
Well, the reason I ask is because we recently had some meetings, and what we would recommend or ask, I guess is the only word to say, is we're not sure where every wireless or antenna or tower applicant's representative is actually submitting stuff to when they say it's been submitted. What we would ask is that all of you call in Syracuse, New York, call us and submit an application for a tower/antenna to us, because the time frame is really important.
Right.
And we know this
Sure.
to
Yep.
you. We're not sure if it's submitted to the city, what department it's getting submitted to, and when we will actually review it to tell you that you either need an application or more information. So I would love to have a meeting of all of you and say, come to us first, because that will make things go a lot faster. I don't know if this one caught any snafus or anything like that, but just as a word of guidance.
Sure.
Just make sure, you know our number, hopefully you know our number. And Jeff is really good with looking at and evaluating these types of applications to know whether or not it rises to the level of a hearing. Basically, it's if it's in a residential district, but this is a new business item. But still, the application, if it comes into us, can move a lot faster.
Sure. I fully hear your frustration, and
Yeah.
trust me, I get it. I can only speak to our submittals, and
Yeah.
in our process, we clearly include a cover letter in the documentation outlining, saying, we believe this is an eligible facilities request. Here are the timelines based on the submittal date of this going out.
And we can email you our application, because that's really the format that helps us be able to say, like, this is a new business item because it's in a commercial zoning district, but something else, you might need a hearing. And we want to make sure that we have everything in a timely manner so you are not delayed.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Makes total sense.
Great. Thank you so much.
problem.
Sorry to delay, but I just thought it was important while I have people here that
That's okay. And I mean, it certainly sounds like just in this meeting alone, you guys are seeing a lot of these.
we
come
are.
through. So I mean,
Yes.
you fully understand it's a booming industry, so to speak. at
Thank you
this
so
time.
much.
No problem.
Additional questions for the applicant?
All set, thank you.
Melissa.
Thanks. Thanks for the extra information. Tell all your friends about the preferred pathway forward on these things. It would help the zoning office. So with that, is there a motion on this item, which is SR 24-08, the second Erie Boulevard installation, 2792 Erie Boulevard?
Might as well.
Yes, I believe there is a short form submittal, I think,
I
but,
don't think so.
oh, okay. Just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case,
With
negative.
a negative declaration.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Safe trip.
We have 4 3-mile limit cases. And just to recap, this year under our new procedure, instead of a public hearing, each of these applications has been reviewed by the engineer's office.
Yes.
And has signed off, to save saying it 4 different times. And the engineer's office has signed off on each of these 3-mile limit cases. So we're taking them as new business items. And we'll start with the first one in the town of Manlius.
Yes, thank you. This one is 3S2109. This is a 3-mile limit subdivision review in the town of Manlius. Kimry Moore, 4th amended, is the name of the subdivision. And this is to realign 19 parcels into 19 new lots, and Tim Coyer is the applicant.
Are there any questions on this application? If not, is there a motion for action?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? That 3-mile limit case in Manlius is approved. Our next one, the first of 2 in the town of Onondaga.
This is 3S2110, 3-mile limit review in the town of Onondaga. Brittany Hills, Section 13 is the area, and this is to divide one property into 6 new lots. Britt Hill Development LLC is the owner and applicant.
Any questions on this application?
No, I'm all set.
Thank you. Is there a motion for action?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The first of the 2 Onondaga 3-mile limit cases is approved, 3S21-10. Our next Onondaga 3-mile limit?
3S2111, this is also a 3-mile limit subdivision review in the town of Onondaga, and this is for Brittany Hills, Section 14. This is to divide one property into 7 new lots. Britt Hill Development LLC is the owner and applicant.
Questions for this application?
No.
Is there a motion for action?
Move approval.
Second.
Is that with a negative declaration?
These
There should be
actually,
seeker already on.
Yes.
so these are done by the town, and so we do not need another seeker. It would be redundant.
Should have known. You were up to snuff there.
That's okay.
Right, interrupted ourselves. We had the motion, we had a second, and we did not yet call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? So the second 3-mile limit for Onondaga is approved, and we have one more in the town of DeWitt.
This is 3S2112, a 3-mile limit subdivision review in the town of DeWitt at 6680 Manlius Center Road, LLC subdivision, and this is to combine 2 properties into 1 new lot at 668 Manlius Center Road and 6028 Gulfster Road. Manlius 6680 Manlius Center Road, LLC is the owner and applicant.
Questions on this 3-mile limit case? And a motion for action?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The last 3 mile limit case in DeWitt is approved. And that brings us to a discussion item for our agenda tonight.
So this is a request from SIDA. No, sorry, wrong one. This is a project that will have several boards involved in the overall comprehensive plan of the area. It's a type 1 action, so I'm putting it on your agenda to get the process started with respect to seeker. It's a type 1 action because the actual construction is next to a national register. Actually, it's listed on the National Register. It's Grace Church, and they're going to construct a 7-story residential building behind the Genesee Grand, and it will front on Madison. So this board will review most definitely a project site review and a re-subdivision, which could result in, which will result in a variance modification for the Genesee Grand and may result in some kind of waiver that either this board needs to see or the Board of Zoning Appeals. So there's several actions involved here, but this board has the most discretion, so it's appropriate to tell you it's a type 1 action, number one, and then to, if you wish to seek your intent to act as lead agency for the type 1 action, then you would instruct me to send out the coordinator review letters, and there will be a 30-day time frame in which to receive comments for that request. Then you will hear one or more of these on your agenda after that time frame is up. I know you've done this before, but just thought I would review it again.
Just for clarification, you said the project will front on Madison Street? The address is Genesee? Or does it?
Well, right now, this is the address. They are going to re-subdivide to carve out a piece to build this building, which will then front, I believe Madison is the one behind, yeah.
So essentially the parking lot for the hotel.
Yes.
It's a building.
A building site.
Yes.
So what happens to the parking for the hotel?
There's underground parking, I believe, proposed to accommodate the hotel and these dwelling units. Not off the top of my head, I don't know.
So the owner of the hotel would likely have to come in if all of its parking is removed from its parcel to show that it has parking someplace else.
Well, that would be with the Board of Zoning Appeals, yes.
If they would go to somebody.
They would, yes. And it's already encumbered by a variance for, I believe, required yards. That will have to be adjusted either way. So we haven't looked at the details enough to know exactly what waivers may be necessary, but we know at least there's these 3 applications that need to be pursued.
And this group has some interest now in the Genesee Grand, right? Didn't they come in from the owner, the last owner, I think Scholar, has some interest now in the Genesee Grand itself?
I believe it's my mistake. It's not called the Genesee Grand anymore. That's just,
That hotel, that.
yeah. Scholar Hotel is what it's called, I believe, yeah.
So are the people developing the student housing a subsidiary of whoever owns the hotel, or are they wholly?
I don't think so. I think they're just buying the portion of land from, yeah, it's Opus Development Company LLC is the applicant.
The map is tiny, but does Grace's property extend to this property?
It's immediately adjacent to. So, yes. So not only is it adjacent to the National Register property, what they're building exceeds the threshold, which it's a 25% threshold if it's adjacent to the National Register property, so makes it a type 1 action. So this action would make us lead agency. If you so choose. If we, there's two things. One, to declare as a type 1, and two, to, I always use declare, and I feel like that's the wrong word, but declare your intent to act as lead agency. So, two things happening here.
Does it require separate motions by the commission, or
I-
can we roll into one?
I think they can be rolled into one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the past.
Yeah.
Are you going to decide whether they want to be doing this?
Well, as of right now, I haven't gotten any other requests. You're it.
Is there an upside to us not doing that? I mean, if we don't do it, who would it be anyway? Would it be BZA? Which is already doing a
Right, but
type.
they might not, you, as far as I can tell, you have the most discretionary review. So it would be more appropriate for you to evaluate seeker and be the lead agency.
Well, then let's do it.
Yes, we do.
I would, with the chair's indulgence, I would move that we declare this proposal a type 1 action under seeker and the intent of the City Planning Commission to be a lead agency.
Discussion on that motion?
The only thing I would say is whoever is talking to these people, obviously, they're going to have to do a targeted environmental impact statement, and they should be aware of the proposal a half a block away, and they're going to need to take it into consideration when they do their alternative, well, when they do all of their analysis. And I would also suggest that the BZA should go to that applicant and say, as you consider things, there's a potential proposal down the street, you might want to address that in that document as well. And I realize it's not a given, but if it's in the public realm and it's known, they should have to address that potential. That's a lot of cars on Madison, a lot.
Which one were you speaking of?
There's a part
The
of
Temple
place
project,
there.
right?
Oh,
It's a half a
okay.
block away.
I see.
So one of the issues with that project, and we discussed it at our last meeting, is the issue of if they have a parking facility for the Temple project, if it were to go forward, all of the cars from that will jump onto Madison. These folks intend to face the building on Madison, and if they have underground parking, all of their cars will dump onto Madison. So in doing any of the environmental assessments here for both of these projects, they should be aware of the other development proposals within their, oh my goodness, I forgot what that clever term is, the, I think it's just a project area, and take those into account when assessing, you know. If we're the only project built, gee, no problem in terms of traffic, but oh my goodness, if a mirror image project is built a half a block away, tons of
There's
them.
already those apartments up there in the old school.
The Ward Wellington Ward.
Madison condominiums?
Yeah.
Yes.
So like parking's like gonna be nuts.
Oh, they have those two little parking lots that are behind their fence, but the number of units in the old school is so much, it's so fewer compared to these new proposals, so, in any case, I would say call the question at this point, because we can't worry about it until it's before us, so.
All right. I don't think anyone seconded yet.
Second, no,
Oh, Rebecca did.
Oh, you did? Okay. I only wrote down one word, one name. I'm sorry. There we go. Sorry. You're out. You're in. Next time.
More discussion? He was really seconded. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? So we declared our intent to serve in that capacity. Before we move to authorizations for the next meeting, any other business we need to address tonight? Okay, then we have a listing of 8 applications to authorize for the November 1st meeting.
Before we get into someone making motion, can I ask a question about a couple of these? So number 7 is yet another antenna project. Is there a way to reach out to those applicants and see if we can get some photo simulations if they're not already in the package?
Yes.
Thank you. And then PR 2120 on North Salina Street, I believe that's in the National Register District, so will the Preservation Board have looked at that before we look? Yes. Okay, and the same thing with R 2149? I think that's the Stickley House, is it not?
Yes, so that is also going to the Board of Zoning Appeals because the uses are being expanded physically and changed. So the Preservation Board will review that as part of both these actions.
Is that a C of A request to them? Is it a local, I don't remember if it's a local site or not.
I want to say we had a project site review that was reviewed the first time around, but was referred to the Preservation Board.
So I just think, I realize it's, quote, just a subdivision, re-subdivision, but since it's that particular property, it would be good to have their comments.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Okay.
If it's flagged, it goes.
Okay, and then the last one is AS 2112. So this is the, what do you call it? Billboard thing. Billboard on a pylon, right? That was on North Gaddis that was denied without prejudice. So the first question would be, I assume this is a complete application, so whatever it is they're proposing, we have documented. There's a site plan or a photo or something with the description. There's something they submitted.
Yes, the submittals have been received.
Okay, so assuming that's complete, it would seem to be consistent with what we always do, we would accept it. However, since we denied this without prejudice, I'd like to suggest that we reach out to the applicant and note that they might want to make sure that they address the reasons for the denial in terms of whatever changes they've made. Because if it's substantively the same, I would assume we would deliberate and come to the same conclusion. If we didn't, we would be pretty arbitrary. So if staff could just make sure that they understand that we would be looking for something substantively different so that we might deliberate and come to a different conclusion that's more favorable to them, I think that's just fair warning. And if I'm not mistaken, they came to like 3 meetings because of our absences. We couldn't act, so there was all kinds of delay. And I'm trying to be as courteous to them as possible. So I'd rather warn them that if it's not substantively different, it wouldn't be unusual that they get the same outcome. So just maybe to give them advance warning so that in 3 weeks, we can look at the most complete package and hopefully one that responds to our concerns. So that's all I wanted to say about that. And now I'm done.
So unless anyone else has additional comments or other information needed on any of these, is there a motion to authorize these 8 hearings for the first? I don't think we held anything over tonight. No, we acted on everything before us tonight. So there are no carryovers. It would be these 8 project applications for November 1st. Is there a motion to authorize the hearing?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? And we've taken care of the authorizations. Last thing remaining is a motion to adjourn.
Oh, heavens, so, yeah, second. This is the no delay.
First, a motion and a second?
Second.
Okay,
Yeah.
discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye, aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions?